So I was thinking, I have like this creative brain. I was thinking about like how could we get started in trying to get our user story map into a visual medium. I think we're at a point right now where we can maybe start prototyping out some of these features. I'd love to start seeing it come together so that we have something that we can, get a little bit one step closer to a demo. But you know me, I was thinking about creating a logo for Laundy, and I was thinking about creating like, I can maybe do this in a Canva, or maybe we can go and hire like a graphic designer real quick on Fiverr, like try to keep it cheap. But I was thinking about inventing a Laundy character and having that character like peeking out of a washing machine or something like that. What do you think?
So I'll stop you there. Don't spend any time on that. So if you're building a business, spend entirely too much time on branding. I mean, I've seen businesses spend upwards of 10 grand just on a logo because they thought they needed it, only to rebrand in a year or to have the idea not work. Here's what you're going to do. Let me share my screen. You're going to go to Google Web Fonts, and your friend is a free web font, and you're going to use a watermark. This is what I do for everything we launch. Laundy. And then I go, what do I like? What do I like? And this is what I do. I just look through here and I say, you know what? I'm looking for a display font, maybe. What do you think? What do I think? And see, I'll give you my critique on this type of thing. Don't pick things that are a little too out there, like these kind of fonts. I like to go with the classics. For UI, and for logos, try and go with something that's a little bit startup feeling. It maybe this Bebas Noya kind of looks kind of interesting to me. I think like one lobster is always a fun one for this type of product, right? Although it kind of looks a little odd there. I can't really differentiate the letters, so I may not pick that one. I also sometimes try I'll do it in all caps too, just to see if any of these kind of work that way. But again, I'll go down the line like this. Even something like this is kind of, just standard. And again, what are some classics? I think Oswald is one of the ones that I use. I feel like Oswald kind of looks good for almost everything. I use it for a lot. Remember, you're going into demo this. They're not going to judge you based on your logo. I know the logo designers of the world are ready to kill me right now. And they're like, a good logo will make your product successful. It won't. I'm sorry. It just won't. So let's just say we're going to pick Oswald. Next tool I'm going to introduce you to, Figma. You hop into figma.com. This is where you're going to do your first kind of UX draft. Again, you're not going to spend a ton of time here, but we're going to start with our demo, and it's got all the Google Web Fonts loaded into it. So when it comes to frames, there's a frame tool here, and it gives you the frames. Tablet, phone. I don't think you're going to go in and demo this on your phone. So you're either going to walk in with a laptop, but ideally I'd set you up probably with a tablet, something like this. What do you think? Would you go in there with the tablet and show them as though they would have it in their store?
The iPad allows me to stay pretty nimble. It's also a little bit more interactive and shareable. The phone is a little bit too small, and they're looking at cuticles of your nails as you're swiping through the product. I just think an iPad is probably the best device in order for us to get our point across and have a solid demo. They can hold it themselves and click through that tablet. Definitely a more shareable medium.
Very cool. I like it already. Look, I threw Oswald in there. We can make it bold if we want to make it bold. Good enough. Again, no colors, nothing fancy yet. Listen, when it comes to MVP time, maybe you'll throw a little icon on the left, maybe we'll find a little laundry icon. But again, for demo day, don't spend any more. I literally just that's all the time I'm willing to spend on logos for a demo. Because again, we're validating the idea. When it comes to building out UI, one of my favorite quotes when it comes to initial MVPs, demos, comes from the movie Chef, actually. And he says, look, if you bought Stone tickets and Jagger didn't play Satisfaction, you'd be pissed, right? Exactly. Don't mess around with the design. Don't get fancy. Everybody expects to click a logo and go back to the home page. They expect the logo to be in the top left-hand corner. In the top right is going to be your avatar. 99% of apps you've used, you click on the avatar, it's going to take you back to your account. That's what they expect to see. Again, in your demo, you're not going to show them this part, but that's what's going to show up there. Your name, you're going to be Justin, right? Justin Abrams, J-A. Take it down a notch. Take it to regular. Take it down to 16. Stick it in the center. Done. Greatest hits. Right here. We're playing UI's greatest hits, and everybody listening to this uses apps. You know the greatest hits for a UI already. Maybe you'll do something like, oh, if you want to get fancy, you can stick a little line underneath it. There's your header. Done. Headers go at the top of the page. Now, when you start getting into a real UX process, like if you're running a mobile app, it might be better for the usability, the actual icons and all the different tabs to run along the bottom. These are important pieces when you hire a pro UX designer that they're going to evaluate. But for your demo, people are not going to be diving into your UI like that. The UI needs to look familiar and you're playing the greatest hits. So let's just stick with what you've seen most apps do. What do we want this thing to do? We said that we wanted you to create a new order, right, Justin? That was kind of in our user story map. So let's take a rectangle. Love me a good rectangle. You're going to have a create order. This doesn't have to be great looking right now. And if we want to really make it feel fancy, right, because logos typically the fonts don't match, let's change this back to Inter. You can go back to a normal font, and maybe I'll do like medium on that because it's a button. All right, that looks pretty good. Again, don't get fancy with the colors yet because I'm going to show you guys how to use UI kits. I use UI kits and I pick the preloaded colors. So I'm not going to go messing around in Figma with that. It's really more important that I get the thing that I'm trying to build done. So create order button in the top right, super obvious. I like to use text more than icons for this type of thing because it's just unambiguous, especially when we're dealing with a customer that maybe gets confused by tech or intimidated by tech, right? We don't need this thing looking like Salesforce. We want this to feel really, really familiar, and we want it to be very, very obvious what they're going to do. Top corner, maybe we do something like this, current orders, right? Something like that. And again, I was saying that we're going to use Inter. Let's go back to Inter. Let's keep it in bold. Let's bring it down to a normal font size, 24 or something like that. And boom, we're on a screen of current orders, and you'll probably have some kind of a table layout, I'm thinking, right? It'll be like tabular data. You'll have like a line across the top like this. Again, one of the most important things, the biggest design tip I can give people is just ensure things line up, make sure that the left-hand side lines up with the left-hand side, the right-hand side lines up with the right-hand side. You'd be surprised how far just having good alignment and spacing goes when it comes to a design versus things being a little off kilter. And again, when we get to the actual building of the demo, our CSS and such is going to take care of most of these computations for us. So you don't have to get too nuts in this part. I don't spend a lot of time pushing the pixels around in Figma because I know once I get to the code, I have the power of the computer behind me. So I can make sure that everything aligns nicely. So I'll put something up here like customer, what are we going to say? Order number? Yeah, right. Order number. What'll make this look the most real? We'll have like an order number on the left-hand side here.
Logically, you can have some, personal information about the individual, maybe last name, first name, maybe their phone number.
Yeah, let's do name.
I also want to say we're really not moving into a high fidelity wireframe experience here. We're staying in a low fidelity wireframe. We're trying to get our distilled user story map and the features that we decided are going to be part of that initial demonstration down in a visual medium. Once we have these things down, then we can go back and massage a little bit further as we get toward building a functional demo prototype. But for right now, to spend any extra time worrying about color, worrying about button shape, worrying about anything other than just getting it into a functional, usable experience is just a waste of the amount of time that this takes.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I like 100% agree. We'll throw in your phone number in here, like, you know, throw in a phone number, bang, and then duplicate again. Order details. Maybe we want to put, 3 shirts. And a price or something like that, right? I don't know. Items, order details, and maybe we decide too that this isn't even important, because note, it took me 3 seconds to add something like order details with a 3 shirts and a dash, but when it comes time to build the UI for that, what's that form look like? Do I enter the items? Do I preload shirts, pants, blouses? It gets confusing. Again, it's very easy for designers to bloat their own design. If you come from a design background, you may add something like that and not realize, just like, I just created a feature that created a headache for me on the other side. So we may not even deal with this. I may decide to nix this entirely. Let's just keep going.
The other thing to call out, like my impulse is like, hey, let's decouple the price, put the order value in its own column. However, I'm not at the point of wanting to replace a point of sale system. So how am I getting the price of this order into that table? I can't assume that the point of sale system that's running this tier 2, as I've called it, this business that is interested in adopting technology but might not have so much of it, I can't assume that that order value is even available, let's call it either through an API or that it's a downloadable that they could push to this or something. But now I'm introducing complexity and I'm coming away from the core value proposition of the demonstration. Let the shop owner say, hey, I'd love to see the cost of the order next to this person.
I agree, because now we're just making them type in extra stuff and we don't even want to deal with that. So now we could say that, like, our first customer is going to have complete order, right? Boom. That's the button that you press and it notifies the user. Like, real simple, very simple UI. Let's make it just a little bit bigger, not too crazy. And again, our UI kit is going to handle our button styling and everything for us. So don't get too crazy in the Figma, because you're going to have a ton of help from your UI kit. And then you have these like alignment items if you wanted to use like tidy up, distribute. I think that there's like align this way so that these kind of line up, and then I can like set this button up so that it's perfect in between. So you're going to press a button that says complete order, and that's going to send like the notification to the user. Do we want to have like an edit order button or anything like that?
I think that adds a level of complexity. We also don't want to have things like states. As of right now, let your customer tell you that they want to use this to see the state of an order. So order received, order in progress, order delayed, order complete. That just adds a layer of extreme complexity. And it's not even something that we really talked about in our user story map. So if that is something that's an important feature, you go back to your story map. We're going to outline the states of an order. That's a separate, let's call it persona or user story that we would have to map out, because who finds the state of the order valuable? Does the shop owner want to send a notification to the various states to a customer? And then my challenge would be, what is the value of delivering those states? Too many messages to a customer might just be fodder, and then they'll unsubscribe from this, and then you've lost the value proposition entirely. So we don't build things that are complex. I don't really have a way other than having to manually update for a shop owner the order status. And that can just be an annoying experience for the shop owner initially. Again, let your users tell you that that type of a feature is going to be valuable. We can easily adapt that, and that can be in a next version, that can be in a premium paid version. Think about just staying in this minimal mindset in order to complete your demo.
Right, and maybe we just do something like this, like complete, and then I can like show an order like this. Hang on, these are all the completed orders. And I'm just using Command D to duplicate, and then Figma kind of handles the rest, right? So now I'm like, okay, this is kind of what it's going to look like, right? And you're gonna do a create order kind of flow, right? So again, people may, maybe you want to do something silly, like just very basic, like copyright. I wouldn't even add any of that to the bottom. Again, keeping it really simple. Maybe we have a menu of things that you can do in the header, like you have your sign in. Maybe should there be like some kind of a burger menu that'll show like orders. But let me ask you this, how am I going to search? So I kind of forgot one thing here, but let's just highlight all these, make them a group so that I can move them real easy. Let's move this down a smidge, and let's do, we probably want like the ability to search by phone number, I think. And we don't even have to like dictate what that's going to be. But we could do like a simple input box. We could add a stroke to it. We could make the fill white, and we could put enter customer phone number, something like that.
And what I like about this feature and what I don't like about this feature, this is an experience that we did not include within the user story map. So how costly would it be if you went in straight into your MVP mode? This is what your developer gave back to you, and then you got the bright idea with a functional prototype to add a search experience. So this allows us to be adaptable on the fly. But if you're doing this properly, we go back to user story mapping. We talk about what's the value feature set of a search experience. And then we want to think about, does the average shop have enough volume of orders at any given time to where a search would be a valuable feature? It can be one thing to insinuate that search is going to be part of it. But in part of my demonstration, I would say, would it be valuable for you to be able to search for an order number? Because again, if you just think about how this is going to work, it's a bit freestanding from their order management system or point of sale system. So I got to go to the order management system. I got to look up a customer to find their order number. Then I got to come back into Laundy. I got to type that order number in. Versus, let's just scroll the list, look for the name of the individual, which is basically how it's working for them right now. And I can just simply identify that person. If we're getting into the order magnitude of thousands, I mean, even hundreds of orders that are in a shop at any given time, great, I can make the justification for having a search solution built into the application. But do I go down the path of making that assumption that a shop owner is going to be interested in a search experience? Because as of right now, that doesn't necessarily exist in these businesses. So perhaps they're just fine to scroll a small list. We'd have these order numbers ordered numerically. So no matter what, you'd always have like the smallest number at the top of the list. If we didn't include an order drop-off date, didn't include any other way that I'm going to really kind of filter and sort and order the data that's in this table. So nice to insinuate that a search feature is available, but I wouldn't go and build a search feature just yet. That's too complex for the purpose of a demonstration.
Right, because you're going to create the order, and that order is going to pop up right at the top. Right? Like the latest orders are just going to show up right on top of the list. Or even at the bottom of this, we could talk about the sort. But again, for the purposes of the demo, we're going to go ahead and just create the order. Here's the next thing, right? So like you click the create order button, and what's that going to take you to? It's going to take you to the next screen, which will usually be our order form. And we already kind of know what the order is going to be. Right, so like, let's do like something super classic here. Let's give me my old back arrow. Boom.
Now I want to continue to introduce some complexities, and we'll justify why complexities just are something to be avoided. If I'm going to have a search experience and I'm going to have a state of order complete or complete the order, don't I need an archive of historically completed orders? So now you're getting into a state of including an additional layer of features that we didn't user story map that a shop owner might find valuable. But the more you start talking about this product, new features will start to reveal themselves, and you can have a repetitive user story mapping session and put these items on a wish list rather than go back to a development team, spiking in some type of a new feature that you want them to go and research, then go and mock, then go and develop for it to be in prime time, when you don't even know if that's going to be valuable to a shop owner. For all I know, they don't care about history at all. I'd never have gone back to a laundromat and asked them for my order history as a customer. So might be valuable. Better off to just put it on the wish list before you go ahead and build a whole menu and add an option for order history or customer purchase history or something that could be incredibly complex to build.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it should be like complete order. It marks it complete. But maybe when they come back, they only see the orders that are incomplete. Like, this will be like some other thing. I would definitely say uploading a historical archive before adopting Londi is like definitely not an MVP feature. These guys aren't going to do that. It'll have all the stuff that they previously marked as complete, you know, things like that could be a useful. But again, for the purposes of the demo, all of these decisions can be made later, right? And we talked about, customer name. I have last name, first name. Do we want to just make it like type the name?
The only thing that I would say is, especially where we live, there's a high saturation, lots of families, people are juniors, like people do share the same name. So really the thing that is unique about each customer is the order number associated to their name. It doesn't matter what their first or last name is. The thing that's unique to the customer is their phone number. So name to me is a little bit irrelevant for this particular application. I'm not really using that for any type of a custom customer feature. So I'm 6 and 1/2 dozen in the other on it. As long as it's telling me the unique identifiers, which are an order number and a phone number, you might not even necessarily need a name.
And this could be just an optional field, right? It's not going to kill us to add it, right? It's like order number, like you said, the order number is the key. And then again, I'm just creating very basic inputs. I'm not putting inputs side by side. I'm just keeping them full because I know when it comes to development, I want it to be very, very simple. Boom. And again, for these guys, I think for this customer base, and you'd be surprised for most customers, even highly technical ones, when they see things that are just like, this is dead simple, I get what this does. But again, it's very common for people to say, oh, I want to build those inputs that Google has with the underline. And when you click on it, the label kind of slides up to the left and I want like a frosted background. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that at some point you are not going to need that. Like at some point there'll be a time and a place for that. And that time and a place is when you know that this will be successful.
Thinking about what else we need on the create a new order form, the details of the order are a variable. So we were talking about that on the previous screen. What is included in this order? Is it 2 shirts and 1 suit? Is it a comforter? Like what is included in the order is something that we tabled as a secondary feature. I'd like to know if that's even really relevant for the use case that we're trying to solve for. They
Right.
have a record in most places, the order mapped to the order number. But we're simply trying to create a notification platform that the order, whatever is included in that order, is ready. So do I need, some people might say, yes, I do need it, depending on your product. But for our product here, I'm not so sure that adding a complexity and an additional field, and do I need to itemize with a drop down all the different products that are coming in? And then you get a fringe product. Like what happens if somebody brings in like a couch cushion? That's an anomaly that might not come through the shop all the time. Of course, they're capable of doing that, but do I need to then create like a random state, like an other field? Like keep it dead simple. Let a customer tell you that they need the details of the order to be attached to the order number. But for us, that kind of defeats the purpose. I just want to let customers know that their order is ready, whatever was in that order.
Correct. I totally agree. Just keep it simple. And again, I may name this screen all orders screen. And for all intents and purposes, this is your dashboard, right? We're not, some people, they get into design, they like to add a little graph of orders completed over time. And like, why? Why add all that in, right? Unless that's the core value prop, that's not something you're going to add. And as well as the first customer that you have signed up isn't going to even have order history graphs and things like that. So it's not going to be of use to them on day one. And again, if you're building a data product, that could be very different. But for this specific product, don't get fancy. Don't get this urge to like fill all the space. Sometimes people get an urge to like fill the white space, to add more noise because it feels empty. Trust me, like that's not what you're looking for. You're really trying to get a signal from the customer is, hey, if I built something like this to you, would this be really valuable? And then I like to name my screens. And then I got the create order button here. Let's do a complete order. Take a look. Do you think, I'm thinking that when we complete the order, we could do something like this. Just so they get the little warning, like what's the fill? Black, make the opacity, 10% or make it 50, and then give me another rectangle here. I'm going to call this the confirm complete order. Talked about this, so throw a rectangle in here like this, something like this. You could do like a boom, make it white. Are you sure? Complete order 2222222. Let's make it big, stick it in the middle, and then you could stick a little button here, right? Rectangle, like yes. And this is where you hit yes. We're gonna say, yo, Justin, did you receive the notification? Oh wow, that really worked. Thank you, sir. These will probably be 2 different colors in your application, but they don't need to be for your wireframe because, again, we're moving quick here. There we go. Just in case they didn't mean to complete that order. Can make this even bigger. Boom, complete order 2222222. Yes, no, maybe so. Give you a little something to look at there. Again, we're not anti-design here. I'm just saying, don't spend too much time on it. You got it. Boom. That looks pretty good. I'm going to show you kind of a wireframing feature of this. This is also helpful. You could go to this prototype button in the top right in Figma, and now I can prototype. So if I want to go to this create order button, that's going to take me to this page. Cool. State management on tap. I can make it on drag. Yeah. On tap, that's fine. And then if I want like back to orders, I can make that go back to this page. On tap, navigate to.
Something that I think that also is cool to demonstrate here is the complete order page that you created. This is not linear. So it's next to the create a new order, but I don't necessarily get an alert as a customer that a new order has been created. I'm standing in the shop, I just dropped my stuff off. So in reality, that complete order actually goes underneath, vertical, to demonstrate that on the home page of the application, when I mark an order as complete, I get this simple confirmation page to choose that my order is actually complete.
Just let you know, did you complete the order? If you go to yes, right? If we go to no, it'll take you right back. And then you can actually hit this play button here and it'll actually let you kind of run through what you just built in like a create an order. Create order takes you to this screen. Back to orders takes you back to this screen. If I click complete order, it asks me if I want to. I can hit no. I didn't do yes because I'm going to just create one more screen. I'll go back to designer here. And this is kind of a separate, and I'll be like, message sent to Justin Abrams to pick up their order. Something like that. Center it. We'll kill these buttons down here. Oh, delete. Again, we're mocking fast here. We're like, boom. So when I go back to prototype, and I click on yes, and I go, yeah, you're gonna go here. Perfect. And then you can, click anywhere on here and it'll dismiss it. That's pretty obvious. These are the kind of things though, like I'll tell you, like you hand something like this off to a developer that you're not close with, right? You're trying to get this developed somewhere else. This gets a little tough because, right, like I didn't put a close icon here. It's really obvious that you should have a close icon. But like, this is the type of stuff that slows you down. You'll build a demo with somebody and this will just be stuck here. And they'll be like, oh, we didn't know that you wanted to be able to like tap the gray area and make it dismiss. Of course I wanted that. So some things you take for granted. So I'd say like, we're going to teach you how to quickly build demos as well. And I'll show you kind of how I go about it and the idea is for people to be able to do stuff like that. But I think some of you may have a friend or something or someone do it. It's really important that they're aware of the user story map. It's very important that they're aware of like standard classic user experience idioms so that this doesn't turn into a long drawn out process of back and forth, right? So we've created this basic demo. The other thing that you wanted to be able to potentially demonstrate, Justin, was like the remarketing side of it, right? Like being able to message all your previous customers. Is that something we want to add into this?
I think that's super valuable. But again, in my experience, I probably only have a short period of time to demonstrate these types of features. I can also be very cognizant of their time and just say, hey, I don't want to take up too much time of your day. It seems like this is a valuable solution as it exists for today. I do want to point you in the direction of thinking about bringing old customers back into the business for whatever various reason. You can see that up here too, as this button exists. So I can create just a simple CTA at the top. Maybe it's next to complete order, but there's another button that just says re-engage with your customers. And it doesn't have to actually do anything. It just has to insinuate that that's what the product is designed to do.
I think that's a great idea. And again, like you said, it can just be like set up engagement. So maybe we do add like a little bit of a menu, right? So let's just let's add a little burger. I'll show you what we'll do. This is great because then you can seed features this way. I love this. I love that idea of like you said, not really building it, but we could like talk about it. And so we can do like boom, boom. Let's make this looks like a classic burger menu. We'll choose an icon for this in real life. Let's stick this. And again, maybe we stick your profile in here and the burger menu to the left. I think that's more classic, right? The burger menu is like always here. Like on 98% of apps, burger menu is here. And then like that's there, right? And then we can let's just do a duplication of this. We'll call this menu open. What we'll do is we'll just create like, again, just like we did before. Let me grab our little rectangle, throw it over the top. Boom. We got our thing. We're going to make it black.
I also want to say it's an implementation detail of how the burger menu functions. So for us to move fast right now, just a good idea to do just like this, like a partial screen menu drop down. There's lots of different ways that you can have a burger menu. It can be a flyout, it can be a pop-up, it can be a list that drops down, like tons of different ways. It doesn't matter for right now. Just the fact that the menu needs to exist. And if you think about the evolution of a product over time, that changes. As you think about updating your product or changing your UI or changing your user experience from feedback from customers or however you're going to adapt. So don't get stuck on the implementation detail. Make it simple and elegant. The easiest way to do this to just demonstrate what the value of the menu is to create a simple flyout like we're doing right now.
And here it is, ready? Create marketing campaign. Do you want to call it that? Create marketing campaign?
I think for the purpose of the demonstration, create a marketing campaign almost might be a little bit too lofty. Does the average shop owner in my cohort for what we're trying to do even know what a marketing
create
campaign
promotion
is?
All users.
So it could be create a promotion, which is separate. It can be say hi to my customers, something simple. It's like I'm thinking like wish them a happy Mother's Day. And in that text message wish, a simple description box, if you can think about the next screen that we would create, that is a very simple choose your own adventure. It's just something that allows me to communicate to my customers. So create a promotion might be a different set of features. I might want to add a discount code or a coupon or something like
Well,
that.
you could talk to them about it. You could say, hey, we have this other stuff, right? You could browse your users, or you could be like, oh, sorry, customers. So sometimes we get so techie here. Orders.
And then another easy way to insinuate, I talked about it a little bit earlier, order history. I don't actually have to show order history, but I could leave it in the drop-down menu and just test my customer. Is this valuable to them? Because in my demonstration, they're gonna be like, ooh, that's something I've always wanted for whatever feature that we have listed in this menu. So it doesn't even have to function. It just has to insinuate that it exists for the purpose of the demonstration.
Remember, and I love it because instead of trying to like build like as little screens as possible, we're over here saying, hey, let's just try to break it out. And this actually does play into your UX design, because you can say like, hey, it was so clear to customers that having all the links laid out like this, they were able to see everything. And again, this is just a wireframe. I'm going to show you guys when it comes time to the actual build, we'll throw a little icon next to these. The drawer will slide out really nice. All this stuff is going to be provided by the UI kit itself. So you don't have to go in and worry about doing too much theming in Figma, which can take a lot of time. We're gonna just let the classics and let the UI kit determine this stuff for us. So that's really how I lay out a wireframe. And then from wireframe, I get right into the HTML and I start laying this thing out into a demo.